So revisiting the ST line Focus, 6-speed gearbox, you have some carbon inlays, nice navigation, so all the usual. Red line at 6.5, can be pushed a little bit higher. I think the ultimate stop is at 750 RPM. Nice little car. However, that being said, it is a lot less than the Suzuki Swift Sport, which is in its area, being the B segment, in my opinion, the king. Even, let's see how we can stop this, even over the Fiesta ST, which is only a 3-cylinder, that's a lot more bulky. Moreover, the Fiesta is so much more expensive and is no longer being available commercially for sales in the Netherlands, so you cannot buy it new anymore. You can only buy it as an occasion. So second-hand cut-up car. And you also have another king that you could say, that's the Polo GTI, which has 2-liter 4 cylinders, also 4-cylinder like the Swift, but is also enormously expensive and even heavier than the Fiesta. So about heavy cars, they can be like 30 to even approaching 40% heavier. And the hot hatch, you want a light little car, so that disqualifies them, in my opinion, for being a hot hatch. It's also quite a hard lineup. If you now have a car, the Suzuki Swift Sport, which is lighter than its predecessor, so now we have the ZC33S, which is the current Swift Sport, but before that the ZC33S was the Swift Sport, but that was a heavier car than the new generation. Well, the new generation has a lot more new technology in it. It is still stiffer, and next to being stiffer, it's also lighter. So that's the thing to take into consideration there. On the other hand, you have the heavier cars like the Fiesta and Polo, which have more power, but they are also a lot heavier. So you feel a lot less of the sensations of driving a hot, nimble car in those cars compared to Suzuki Swift Sport, which offers that lightness and that really nice direct feeling component, which is lacking in those heavier cars. And they might say, yeah, a heavier car feels more luxurious, especially on highway speed. It feels more planted because it's heavier. But that takes away from the hot hatch experience, because the hot hatch experience should be, nice red carbon stitching, should be to give you a lightweight, nimble car that's also achievable. Because other cars are like, I think 8,000, perhaps even 10,000 euros more expensive. So that disqualifies them from the achievable point of view quite to a high degree, in my opinion. And also, if you look at reliability, you will not touch a Swift with your Fiesta or Polo. They will say, yeah, it's a luxury brand and you pay for quality. But that being said, you get 5 years of warranty on the Suzuki Swift, 5 or 6 years even, and about 2 years on the Fiesta or the Polo. So that gives you an indication of the perceived quality. And also, if you look at the statistics, you can run a Swift Sport for a lot less cost than Fiesta or Polo. Not only that they are heavier, so you have assurance, which is heavier based on weight. Also road tax is heavier based on weight. Also fuel consumption is heavier based on weight. But also the underpinnings of a Suzuki Swift Sport are even more sturdy than that of a Fiesta, for example. So if you look at the dimension of the axis where the wheels are fitted, you see that the Suzuki Swift Sport has a lot stronger components there. Also, it comes with a lighter frame, and the components are cheaper to begin with. So cheaper to begin with will help, but also you will be helped that you have a lot less strain on all the components because it's so much lighter. If you for example weigh 80 kilograms and then you add like 30% of your that weight, so that would be 24 kilograms in addition. If you carry around normally at an 80 kilogram frame and now you weigh 104, you will feel that definitely. If you take it to 40%, you will weigh 112, so you have an excess of 32 kilograms to take with you. For consideration, for a bug out bag or something like that, they say you should stay under 20% of your weight to do that with any degree of comfort, to lug that additional weight around. But it will be hard pressed if you have double that, double that of the recommended maximum. And that's also the case in the car. And even though that, for example, you have so much more weight, still the components of Suzuki Swift Sport are bigger and stronger to begin with, so that gives you quite an impression of what kind of quality you get there. And also, if you look at all the standard equipment, there's also a lot of luxury equipment in the Suzuki Swift Sport. You have to pay premium with both the Fiesta and the Polo, so you really pay a lot of money for little bit of extra weight, which might be beneficial if you feel planted on the highway, but you can also upgrade it to yourself. If you get a stiffer suspension, you'll feel more planted on the highway as well. But on the other hand, a standard Swift is able to cope with all uneven undergrounds a lot better than both the Polo and the Fiesta, which are a little bit more skittish. So it really depends on the road. If the roads are perfect, it might be that Fiesta or Polo gives you a little bit of more planted feel. If the roads are not so good, I will vow for the Suzuki Swift, because it can cope with all those irregularities a lot better than both the Fiesta and Polo can. So that's something to take into consideration. And also, if you want a little bit stiffer ride, you can just lower the Swift, and then you will have the stiffness level of the Fiesta and the Polo with a lot less drag, because you are lower now. And if you can also lower, for example, the Fiesta and the Polo, but then they become quite unbearably stiff, so to say. So they are not completely unbearable, but on more road surfaces than, for example, the Swift, because that's softer springs to begin with. So the suspension is more forgiving and mild to begin with. Because it is, again, a lot lighter, you don't need that excessive stiff springs to keep it reacting rapidly. Another thing to consider is that if you have your car over a period like 5 or 6 years, if you stay within that warranty period, you will have ease of mind with that Suzuki. And after the first 2 years, everything that goes wrong with it, you have to pay for in that Fiesta or that Polo. There's something to take into consideration again. And if you look at the room in the cars, the Swift is actually quite roomy. Only the boot is bigger in the Fiesta and the Polo, but the seating arrangement, especially in the back, is really comparable. Perhaps even better in the Swift, because you have a little bit more headroom, so to say. And you get Japanese quality. The Swift is made other locations than in Japan, but not the Swift Sport. That's the halo car. And if you look at Ford has the Mustang, which is more of a halo car, and Volkswagen also has the Golf GTI above the Polo, so it's not a halo car. But for Suzuki it is. So they really made a lot of work to make it really feel special, and you feel also that you are in the top of the range of that brand. That's something nice to consider. And with Volkswagen, of course, you also have the Passat and other cars above it, even above the Golf. And within the Volkswagen Audi group, you also have cars like an RS3, which is comfortably suited above that, and also the likes of a R8 of Audi or RS6. So the same can be said with Ford. You also have a Focus, which is comparable, like the Golf ST, which is also not longer being delivered commercially, if I'm not mistaken, in the Netherlands. But also you have the Mondeo, also came as a ST version. So there are quite some things to consider here, which might be of interest for you if you want a B segment car. Hope this little jot also brought you a little bit of pleasure. I like reviewing cars. I try to do it with an open view, so not that I have a Suzuki, I'm only in favor of Suzuki. For example, that boot space is still a beneficial factor. You might even say that if in case of a crash, a heavier car to begin with is also better. So that's also one other point that might be in favor of the Volkswagen or Ford. But that being said, Suzuki has made the Swift extremely stiff, and an extremely stiff, strong chassis will also be quite protective. I think it will be quite comparable, so don't let it put you off. But if you really want to have the best car, it might be that the Volkswagen or the Ford is better for your protection. Ciao, found the car out. So, and farewell to this. This is the rev limiter, so to say, approximately there. So 1 liter 3-cylinder Ford turbo, and has 100 horsepower to begin with. If you tune it, I don't know, it's not the right gear, so it needs to go like that. Then you get like 145 horsepower, and that will make this car completely different. Always advise to do that. If you have a turbo engine car, you have the drawback of added complexity, because it is a turbo car, but the benefit, if you're going to tune it, you have not only the benefit of fuel optimization, but also the air optimization. And why is that? Because you can also control with the ECU the turbo, and the turbo helps to force feed air into the engine. So not only the fuel is then optimal, but now you also have optimal air, and that gives it a horsepower increase. So for example, from 100 to 145 is 45% increase, which is huge. Almost half the power is now extra, which is just hilariously a good deal. And it costs you like perhaps 500, 800,000, depends on what type of tuner, but oftentimes you can do this quite for a nice price, so you don't have to pay the premium you would normally have to pay for such added performance, which just has all the benefits then in place. This is 6-speed, just checking. These gear changes in the Fiesta are quite long. They make for a relaxed type of drive instead of quickly shifting to the gears. But I must say, there's good positive action on the gear changes. So, of course, if you compare it with the Suzuki Swift, which is a very sporty type of car, you have almost a similar click to the gears, but only the gears they run. Yeah, the way that you have to move, the amount of space you have to move is a lot more. And that amount of space will also amount to more time being needed to make a positive gear change. But once you do, it feels nice. So that's a compliment I want to make Fiesta. I think the Fiesta is a very good car. They say it's class leading for a sporty type of car in the B segment, and I'm not convinced. And the only reason is that there are some cars, especially Swift, which do it better in my opinion. And how can they do it better? Because light is right. It's also what's called in Chapman of Lotus at lightness. So if you have a car like this Fiesta, which weighs a little bit over 1,000 kilograms, but it's only a 1 liter turbo, a 3-cylinder, and then you have a car with one additional cylinder, a lot more tech, and a lot more displacement, like the Swift. It sounds a little bit like a small 6-cylinder, which is nice. That weighs a lot less. It has better brakes, better suspension, better engine, and a similar size. Then you know that you're doing something wrong. So also the suspension of the Swift is a lot more capable and supple. So you have all the benefits in place. And then you will be hard pressed to really think that the Fiesta is the class leader, in my opinion. I'm saying that the Fiesta is a very good car, it's a sporty type of car. It's like they say BMW is a sporty type of car, and they say Honda is a Japanese BMW. I think Honda is a lot better than BMW in many ways, shapes and forms. Of course, the top level of BMW like M3, M5, M8, something like that, that will be capable of annihilating the Hondas, also the fast Hondas. And then someone will enter the NSX. And of course, that was a very fast car, but lately they don't make those bigger fast Hondas anymore. But Civic Type R will annihilate the 1 Series, in my opinion, with ease. So in the comparable classes they are better. And Honda makes excellent engines, very reliable, very capable. So it depends a little bit on what you want. So I think it's doing Honda no justice to call them the Japanese BMW. But in Europe, BMW is for drive enthusiasts, and Honda was positioned the same way, but lately they only have the Civic Type R. So they have one halo car, the Civic Type R, but all the other stuff is a lot more boring, so to say. And then you have Toyota, which has a little bit more cars now that appeal to the sporting driver. So the GR Yaris, GR Corolla, they also have that GT86 by Toyota and the Supra. So they have 4 levels of sporting cars, and Honda only has 1, so that makes it a little bit tough decision. But if you see the Suzuki Swift Sport, you can see as a baby Civic Type R. So you can still have that with Japanese quality, only have to switch to another brand. And also if you look at Suzuki, they only have 1 sporty little car, that is the 1 sporty car regardless, and that is the Swift. And all the others are not directed to be sporty. So it's a pity, I think. But still, if you combine them together, and I'm a Japanese type of car enthusiast. Why is that? Because Japanese type of cars offer reliability and they offer good quality. And what do I imply with good quality? It does not go boom that easily, so there's also reliability, but they offer good components to start with. So for example, the Swift offers stronger driving axles than the Fiesta ST, and the Swift comes with 129 horsepower from its ICE engine standard, and the Fiesta comes with 200 horsepower from its ICE engine. Internal combustion engine is ICE standard, so it gives you quite an interesting comparison. Of course, you can note that the 129 horsepower Swift also has 15 horsepower in addition by its electric engine. You will be right. I'm not scoffing that. That's really the same. And horsepower also comes with additional torque. So all in all, you might be right that if you compare it torque wise, then perhaps even the Swift has more torque, so therefore you could justify that bigger driving axle. But then again, if you look at the former generation, the pre-facelift Swift Sport from this same generation that only had a 1.4 liter turbo with 140 horsepower, only ICE engine, so no electric engine to add the torque, and that's the same driving axles. So they have a good way to how do you say it? They overbuilt their engines, they overbuilt their drivetrain, they overbuilt everything. And you might say, oh, why are you overbuilding? That only costs. But then again, Swift weighs a lot less and is a lot less expensive than, for example, that Fiesta. So yes, it might cost more, but they are not charging their customers. So you get a more honest product to begin with, which is a good thing in my opinion. So you get more bang for your buck, and combine it with added reliability. It could be 3 times as much reliable. If you look at the guarantees that they are giving, you get 3 times as much. Oh, sorry for that, guys. This torque monster of a Fiesta is giving you all this now. There's a little bit more space here, so it's easier to, when you change gears and there's some bumps or whatever, to upset the camera. But sorry for that. We are almost there, and then I can switch back to my beloved Swift Sport. Because the Fiesta is a nice car, I must say, but the Swift Sport is a nicer car. Yes sir, nicer. No sir. We're having fun all the way, yeah. But the Fiesta is a good car. It drives nicely, it has a good balance. I think you will be very happy to drive a Fiesta over another car. For example, a Polo, which is a lot less exciting. More boring, so to say. But if you had the chance to drive Swift, I would advise to get the Swift. And even in the lesser version, Swift with 1.2, for example, 88 horsepower, is nice to drive, because it also weighs like 200 kilograms less. I think also that the Copen is nice to drive. I also have Copen. It's really nicer to drive than this little car. I'm not trying to diss it, because it is still a decent type of car, but it's not as nice as I wish it to be. Let's put it in reverse. Slam it in here. Okay, we are set. Reigniting and then pushing it. Let's see. I'll wait for this corner, then I will wrap it out and go to second. Driving this tiny little car, speed segment, old hatches, and it does not, how do you say that? We would say in Dutch, stel niet teleur, it does not disappoint. That's what I was looking for. So these are my Japanese favorite cars. This is the best hot hatch in my opinion. Extremely light, also lowered it and improved the exhaust system and the other stuff. And this is extremely light, 825 kilograms. It's also coupe convertible, which is a good thing. This is a little bit more cute. I think that's also looking cute. Both also come with a double exhaust system. You'll see this here. The benefit of the Swift is, in my opinion, it also comes with an awesome body kit. And that awesome body kit is not found in that Copen, which is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more classic looking. So that's it. A little bit of a fall, so you see some leaves there, giving you some nice views. Bye bye. Back to the beloved Swift Sport with the Alcantara. I'm really happy that I'm getting into this little hooligan again. Just a great little runabout. Sorry for that. Giving you the nice view again. So why is this car so nice to drive? Because it feels so enormously direct. I think this could also be an Alpine product because it's extremely lightweight, and now with this added suspension tweaks it's also a lot more direct and lower. Also Alpine has quite supple suspension because it's so light, and this is within that spirit. So they now made a new Alpine, I think it's a R5, Renault R5 derivative. So a cheaper Alpine to begin with, but it will never be as direct as this one because it's an electric engine, something went wrong there, sorry. I don't know what happened. It appears that it was not appeared not to be on the automatically restarting, so it switched off and now it did not automatically restart. So I will keep this in consideration. If this will turn up again, I will recontact, of course, but it appeared to shut off. And then when I tried to put on the gas again, putting it in gear, it did not turn on automatically. Okay. Let's keep this into consideration. See, now it's switching off. Yeah, now I put it in on the first gear and it pops up. So it might be a one-time thing. But this car is so light and willing. It's also a lot lighter than the Alpine, and Alpine is only a two-seater. So I think it's like 18% lighter than Alpine. And of course also doesn't have the same power as Alpine. It's all about half the power of the Alpine. With a tune you go a little bit higher, but you can also tune an Alpine. It's also like 80% lighter. So with a tune, I think a standard Alpine would have to work quite hard to stay in front of it if it's not all highway straight ways, because this car is also very capable on the bends, like the Alpine is. It might be quite interesting matchup, and there were some people that also really took their Swift on track and even met Alpines, and they were performing very nicely, even faster than Alpine, but it could also be the driver. It's very hard to compare two cars with also two different drivers, because a driver that is not driving as capable is also not able to extract all the benefits from the car, which driver that is able to do that is. This car feels feisty again after driving that Fiesta 1.8 turbo 3-cylinder. Of course, that's a lot more horsepower, a lot more torque, a lot better chassis, a lot directer feeling, bigger steering wheel with this especially Alcantara add-on, and a nicer shifting gearbox, better brakes. So there are a lot of things to like. And that's also the reason why I think this car should be, or could be, because it's a Japanese type of car, not an Alpine, not a French type of car, but you have the same type of spirit. And the difference is made by the Japanese type of approach is that you have added reliability, added ease of mind, added frugality. So you have a lot of things to have in a beneficial sense as well. And you can seat up to 5 people instead of the 2 people that only fit into the Alpine A1 on a 10. Alpine A1 on a 10 I do like a lot more than, for example, the Porsche Boxer, which is also, or the Cayman, the same car with or without a roof. So Cayman would be a more direct fit compared to the Alpine, which is also a coupe. But I like it more because it's more lightweight approach. But Porsche is also a very good manufacturer, very good sporting type of car. With that being said, if you have this Suzuki Swift Sport, you have a stage 1 tune on it, and perhaps some improvements on the exhaust system like I have, and the suspension improvements, you will have a car that's very, very close to Alpine A110 type of performance and driving experience for just a fraction of the price, and also with a lot of ease of mind, reliability upgrades. So a very good alternative, I must say. Let's see how the temperature is going. Temperatures like that. First gear to the second gear, revving the first gear a little bit more in this case. And there's the thing, if you have a slower car, so the Alpine is faster of course, but if you can drive it faster, because the road conditions don't allow that fast car to really exploit its capabilities. It's nicer than you have a faster car, e.g. the Alpine A110, and you have to drive it slow all the time. So you will have more raised heartbeat, more experience with a slower car to begin with. And that's a tricky thing, because in that way you can have the biggest piece of crap with the least power, and you can just go full on the throttle all the time, and that will be the nicer car, and you would be right. But that car is not capable of braking or going fast through a corner. So there's a trade-off. There is a scope that you at least need, in my opinion, need at least for every 10 kilograms of car 1 horsepower. I would prefer that you have more, but that would be the scope. If you stay below 2 horsepower for every 10 kilograms, I think you have a car that you can exploit very nice. So between 100 horsepower per 1000 kilograms and 200 horsepower per 1000 kilograms, you have a very nice driving car. It's my simple advice. If you go above that, you will have a faster car, of course, a lot faster. But then you will be hard pressed to find routes where you really can exploit it. For your experience, Audi S3 with 300 horsepower that weighs about 1500 kilograms, for example, would still be at the top of that level. But that would be a car that quite hard pressed to get all the goodness out, so to say. Whereas if you have for example, Fiesta is a little bit too little horsepower with 100 horsepower and 1040 kilograms. That's just below it. But a little bit above that would be already in that bracket. So, for example, one VW Up GTI would be in that bracket. Only that does not have brakes all round. I want disc brakes all round instead of drum brakes. I have drum brakes also in the Copen, but that car weighs only 825 kilograms, so that's a about 200 kilograms lighter than the Up, which has the same brake configuration. So in my opinion, if you have a car like that and you also have disc brakes all around, you have a very capable, nice setup to begin with. I will try to rev this little car a little bit out now. So that has some chance to warm up. I think 10 minutes about. So I think I can handle a little bit of revs now. I put the clutch in and still in the first gear, otherwise it would shift. Go to automatic start-stop system again. And I want it to be warm now. So not just reigniting and then pushing it. Let's see. I'll wait for this corner, then I will rev it out and go to second. Driving this tiny little car, this B segment, old hatches, and it does not, how do you say that? We would say in Dutch, stel niet teleur. It does not disappoint. That's what I was looking for. So it's a small car, B segment car, but you have about the same room as you would have in a Volkswagen Golf 2, 3 GTI. The interior room is similar. You have a lot of additional safety, a lot more torque, and even easier access to additional horsepower because of that turbo engine. A lot more technology, a lot more luxury. This is a very cool car. Magpies on the road. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this short video. I'm wishing you a great day. It says anti-collision warning. Ciao!